The bell above my bakery door chimed, and when I looked up from the register, a woman stood there holding a stack of faded letters tied with kitchen twine. My letters. The ones I'd written in scratchy purple pen when I was 11 years old. I didn't recognize her face at first. 20 years does that. But when she said, "You told me to find the person who made me smile," in that same gentle voice I remembered from one crackling phone call we'd shared as kids, everything inside me went still. This was Maya, my pen pal from Mumbai. The girl who'd gotten me through the worst year of my childhood. It started when I was 10 years old, and my parents were going through the kind of divorce that left scorch marks on everything it touched. My teacher, Mrs. Chen, thought a pen pal program might help me. She paired me with Maya Desai, a girl my age, halfway across the world, who loved art and hated cricket and wanted to be a chef. We wrote every week for 3 years. Long, rambling letters about everything and nothing. She told me about monsoons and her grandmother's spice garden. I told her about my mother's new apartment, and how my father forgot my birthday. The summer before 8th grade, Maya's family moved to London for her father's job. She sent one letter from there with her new address, but I never wrote back. I was 14 and stupid and wrapped up in high school drama. I told myself I'd write next week, then next month. Eventually, the guilt of not writing made it impossible to start again. I thought about her sometimes over the years, wondered if she became a chef, hoped she was happy. I managed to ask, coming around the counter. Maya set the letters down carefully on one of the small cafe tables. "It took me 4 years," she said. "I hired someone to help. I only knew your first name and that you lived somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. But you'd mentioned in one letter that you wanted to open a bakery called Flower and Fable. I searched for that name every few months. Last week, it finally came up. I'd forgotten I told her that dream. I was 11 when I wrote it, probably talking about some fantasy future where everything was okay again." She pulled out one specific letter from the stack, unfolded it gently. "You wrote this when you were 13. You said your mom had just gotten remarried and you felt like you didn't belong anywhere anymore. And then you wrote, 'If you ever feel lost, find the person who made you smile when nothing else could.'" She looked up at me. "You were that person for me, Claire. When my parents got divorced 2 years ago, when I lost my restaurant in London last year, when everything fell apart, I kept coming back to these letters. You saved me when we were kids." I didn't know what to say. I'd spent so much of my life feeling like I'd failed her by disappearing. "I'm not here for an apology," Maya said firmly. "I'm here because you mattered." She gestured to the letters. 3 weeks later, Maya was still in Portland. She'd been staying at a hotel downtown, but we'd spent almost every day together. It felt like no time had passed and also like everything had changed. She told me about her culinary school in London, the restaurant she'd run for 5 years before her business partner embezzled everything, the slow rebuild of trying to figure out what came next. She pulled out her phone and opened a folder of photos. Recipes. Dozens of them. "I've been developing a menu for a new concept," Maya said. "Fusion desserts. Indian flavors in French pastry techniques. I wanted to start over, do something completely my own. But I don't have the capital anymore. I don't have a location." She looked at me steadily. I stared at the recipes on her screen. Cardamom croissants, rose and pistachio millefeuille, saffron panna cotta tarts. Maya took a breath. "I'm saying your bakery has space. I'm saying we always talked about making something beautiful together someday. I'm saying maybe that day is now." The offer hung in the air between us. It was crazy. We'd just reconnected after 2 decades. We didn't really know each other as adults. "I need to tell you something first," I said. My heart was pounding. When I stopped writing to you, it wasn't because I didn't care. It was because I cared too much, and I was terrified I'd let you down. I'd already watched my family fall apart. I didn't know how to hold on to anything good. I blinked back tears. "I'm not that scared kid anymore, but I need you to know that's who you'd be partnering with." Maya reached across the table and took my hand. "Claire, I ran away to Portland to find you because I was falling apart in London and didn't know where else to go. We're both scared. That's not a reason to say no." She squeezed my hand. "Besides, you taught me something in those letters. You wrote once that the bravest thing you ever did was keep writing to me, even when it felt like everything was ending. That's what we do now." The next morning, I called my landlord about expanding the bakery's footprint. Maya and I spent 3 days straight designing a new menu, splitting recipes and responsibilities, arguing cheerfully about presentation and flavor profiles. It felt like those letters we used to trade, but in real time. 2 weeks later, we signed partnership papers. Flower and Fable became Flower and Fable by Maya. 6 months after that, we had a line out the door most mornings. The cardamom croissants sold out before 9. Food bloggers called us the best fusion bakery in Portland. But the best part was every evening after closing, when Maya and I would sit with tea and talk about the day. Sometimes about recipes, sometimes about her date last week or my mother's upcoming visit. One night, Maya showed me something she'd kept in her wallet. A tiny, torn corner of one of my letters, she said. I spent years looking for you, thinking you'd give me answers about where to go next. But the answer wasn't you, it was us. She was right. We'd both been lost, carrying around pieces of the past, hoping they'd show us the way forward. Turns out, the way forward was exactly this. Showing up, telling the truth, taking the risk. So here's my question for you. Have you ever reconnected with someone from your past and found they were exactly who you needed in your present?